Uh, yeah, today I'm going to talk about the Rollup Centric future of blockchains. I'm just trying to explain some of the history behind it, why we are here, where we are going, for example. Before beginning, like just some information about me. I am Anurag, co-founder of Avail. Previously, I co-founded Polygon back in 2017. Avail is a project actually that we started within Polygon in 2020, and we spun Avail out of Polygon last year. Uh, so some of the challenges, like facing Web3 today is, in general, rollups were kind of started becoming popular in 2020, 2019. Before that, we used to work on, like I was talking to Mo, who's sitting here in the audience. We were talking on various scaling solutions back then involving state channels and Plasma, but rollups eventually won over. And we think rollups are going to be the way blockchains are going to scale. That's where we are going. You can already see probably a few hundred rollups on L2Bit already, either already live or upcoming. And that number is going to go to thousands and 10,000s with the evolution of app-specific rollup stacks as well. And so essentially, like if we think that, like why rollups are important is before rollups, the cost of spinning up new chains was pretty high. If you wanted to spin up an L1 blockchain, you had to kind of recruit a validator set up a new token, make that token valuable, and so many other things. And rollups are this neat new construct that make spinning up these chains pretty easy. And so if you look at something like Base from Coinbase, it basically they took what is the OP stack code base, spun up a new chain, and they're not focusing on how to set up a chain. They're focusing on market GTM, which most app devs should really focus on. And so that's why rollups are pretty important. And how Avail kind of fits in in this is because rollups need DA to scale. Data availability, you might have heard of this term in the near term, is it's because it's this very low level feature of blockchains, but they are very important for rollups to scale. And rollups especially are hungry for DA. But if you kind of look at the landscape, rollups are proliferating. Like you can already see a few hundred rollups now. This is going to increase to 1,000 or tens of thousands, maybe millions in the future. And that's why you kind of have real user experience fragmentation. User experience fragmentation of interacting with 1,000 chains is going to be pretty bad. And so what you really need is not only rollup scalability, but also rollup interoperability or a unification framework as we call it. So some of the big picture news is, right? Like so rollups are important, but Ethereum danksharding is a little far off. You might have heard of 4844, which came recently, but it got overrun by demand. And so we are going to continuously see the usage of Avail DA and other DA solutions. And Avail DA is built on some of the same primitives that Ethereum is going to use on its danksharding roadmap. And so what we, along with Avail DA, which is already state-of-the-art scalable DA layer, we also built something called Avail Nexus, which kind of unifies rollups across the landscape using a combination of proof aggregation and data availability sampling. And there's something called Avail Fusion that we just recently announced. So this is what we call the Avail Trinity. It comprises of the Avail DA layer, the Avail Nexus layer, and the Avail Fusion layer. The Avail DA layer is the data availability component, which is very similar to what Ethereum wants to do on its danksharding roadmap. But like we've been on developing this since 2020, and it's going on mainnet in a few weeks actually. We'll be launching soon, and Nexus is the big play on top in the sense that, and I'll get into some detail later, but this is Avail DA. You can see that the primary function of Avail DA is to scale rollups, and it provides abundant blob space via data availability sampling and this is coming in a few weeks. We're already kind of ready to launch with, on launch day we have like a very great lineup of rollups that are going to be live on Avail in general. And this is a little bit more technical detail on what Avail DA does. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but Avail DA is a different L1 with its own validator set. It can support up to 1,000 validators, and essentially it segregates data availability into its own separate network with a independent network of data availability sampling light clients. This is a very, very important part of the Avail DA network. We use something called KZG polynomial commitments to implement data availability sampling. And this is going to be very powerful technology that will live in your mobiles, your desktops. Today, blockchains, verifiability of blockchains is a big problem. And data availability sampling is one big tool to kind of take this from a verification perspective. So, in general, from a DA perspective, why is it important is, as I said, you need DA to kind of scale rollups in general. And then you are basically going to end up with like a lot of rollups on top, right? And so then what happens to the user experience, right? There's these thousands of rollups that are coming, and then when you want these rollups to talk to each other, it's going to be literally like it's a mess, right? In general, think about a typical user who has to think about transacting on Arbitrum or Optimism or ZK Sync or Starkware or one of the many rollups that are there. And even today, it's a mess. They have to switch RPCs. You have to think about bridging tokens from one chain to another. And so, can we do something better, right? That's the main challenge. So that's what the Avail Nexus middleware really is. It kind of creates this shared notion of validity between these rollups. So in the near-term future, what you will have, once we build all of this out, a wallet will be smart enough to talk to Avail Nexus to figure out where your tokens are, and you just have to specify to the wallet to do a particular action. So for example, if you are on, let's say, Arbitrum, you have tokens on Arbitrum and you want to do something on ZK Sync, for example, you kind of say that, oh, I want to buy this NFT on ZK Sync. The smart wallet talks to Avail Nexus, finds out what tokens are there on Arbitrum, does the bridging transfer, and then does the NFT buy transaction, for example. And all of this, the whole complexity behind the scenes is taken care of by Nexus and the wallet. The user doesn't be really needing to mean it. And so what I'm trying to say is, rollups are getting pretty much real. They're getting deployed in numbers. A lot of app-specific teams are deploying rollups, and we are moving into this reality. And so you need infrastructure that kind of abstracts all over this to provide, this whole unifying coordination layer. And there's also one more important point, right? If you kind of think of it, within the Ethereum layer itself, there are a lot of what we call mini empires. So there is like a Arbitrum Orbit mini empire, there is a Optimism mini empire, there is a Polygon mini empire. And so I think what we are actually building is a lot of these mini empires throughout Ethereum, and we need the entirety of Ethereum to be much more coherent, much more unified. And so that's really what we are aiming for, essentially. And so Avail Nexus, because it utilizes proof verification as the primitive and DA as the root of trust, it basically enables a more unified experience. And there are some characteristics of how Nexus will, in general, play. Because we utilize proof aggregation and proof verification, you don't need to rerun the node, for example, and check whether transitions were computed correctly, for example. And we have this single proof generation that verifies all other proofs, for example. Again, we will be releasing like a spec design and a version 0.1 implementation in Q2 actually for Nexus. So we are very pumped about this. And this is where, you can see all of this coming along, right? Like, so you have the Avail DA layer, which powers a lot of rollups, very complementary to what Ethereum does. But on top, we have Avail Nexus, where we kind of take rollups that are deployed on Avail DA, but also rollups on other blockchains, and then kind of coordinate them using this combination of proof aggregation and data availability sampling. This we kind of target late 2024. And finally, I wanted to talk a little bit about how do we kind of coordinate all of this together. Is we've kind of been working on the Fusion initiative where, so if you look at the bottom of the screen, most blockchains are secured by the native token alone. And for any new network, bootstrapping crypto economic security is a problem. And so what we've come with, with the evolution of restaking protocols such as EigenLayer, Babylon, and Osmosis mesh security, what we've now done is basically enable staking for things like BTC and ETH in the base layer, so that we can have enhanced crypto economic security. So this is a very neat piece, and this is one of the, I think, the first examples where restaking is used to actually secure a very important blockchain in general. That's kind of the vision that we have. Like, to summarize, how we are looking at it is Rollup Centric, Rollup Centric future of blockchain is coming. We initially enable a bunch of rollups on top. We then build an interoperability layer on top to abstract away the chains, and then we have this unified security in general. So this is the best view of how we want to coordinate the rollup-centric future of blockchains. So I think I covered a lot of things. I don't want to kind of spend too much time more. These are our contact credentials. And I'm available for some time during the event. Happy to talk to you guys if you are kind of looking to integrate, spin up a rollup, for example. In any case, building out the ecosystem, we are pretty happy to talk to you. Yep, that's it. I'll keep it short. Thank you.